What's up, everybody? It's Hank here with Break MMA. Really pumped about this episode because my guest today is a very young prospect in this sport of MMA. He is making his Bellator debut February 9th on the Newcastle card. I believe it is. It's the Newcastle
Yeah,
card.
Newcastle.
Nathan the Black Rose.
Something in it, yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't looked this guy up, or I tweeted out right before we started a few of your highlights and one of your fights. And if for all of you who haven't looked him up and are not familiar with this guy, he is the legit featherweight prospect.
Cheers, man. Respect for that.
So, are you a natural featherweight, or are you kind of because are you a big featherweight, or you kind of fit right in there perfect?
I think I fit perfectly because whenever I cut weight, I don't really have any weight cutting issues.
Yeah.
I'm never really feel faintish. I've seen fighters that I've cut weight alongside and they have a hard time. I don't really have a hard time making the weight. So featherweight is my weight. I thought lightweight before, so I wouldn't mind moving up and doing both weights. But for now, I'm concentrating on conquering the featherweight division.
So you're making your Bellator debut February 9th on the Newcastle card. What's your opponent's name? I see it in front of me, but
it's I think it's Rajesh or
yeah.
I can't really. No, his second name is Barrier. Barrier.
Barrier. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know much about him?
Not much about him. I only first heard about him when they sent me over his name. So I looked into him. He's had 3 fights, undefeated. Looks alright. Yeah, tall guy.
What's your overall pro record?
Mine is 6-1.
6-1. That's what because you had a amateur career before that, right?
Yeah. 5-0 as an amateur.
Yeah. So you've actually had this is going on your 12th fight, or?
Yeah, this would be my 12th fight.
12th fight. So you've got some 12 fights deep. You're a little experienced, and one thing when you watch your highlights and all your videos on YouTube is you have some vicious ground and pound. Is that like your bread and butter? Is that what you go to, or because you do have some good knockouts too? You're very good at making your opponent chase, and then when he chases you, you're very good at countering.
Yeah, because one thing I find with a lot of fighters, I think it's maybe they're scared. They rush and look for the knockout and chase their opponent just to get the fight over and done with, so they can have a relief. I don't mind. We can do whatever you want to do. I can have a 3-round war with you. We can have a round war. But either way, I know I'm going to win. Every fight I have for now, and I know I'm going to win. So I don't feel the need to rush into anything. So when my opponents attack me, they're just putting themselves at harm and leaving themselves open for the knockout.
So, but which one would you say? Like, if somebody asked you, are you a kickboxer? Are you a jiu-jitsu guy? Are you a grappler? Would you say dominant grappler?
I would say my thing is kickboxing and wrestling.
Oh yeah, a mixture of both striking and wrestling.
Yeah, but I train everything because MMA. So, but they're my favorites. Everyone likes to see a knockout, so
So you also train with Jimmy Manoa, right?
Yeah. I trained with him from the start.
What gym is that again?
Right, we trained at we had our gym, Lions Pride MMA.
Yeah.
But where it got a bit too where Jimmy was fighting professionally, obviously it was hard running the gym at the same time. So now we train in Orpington at Kettles with my head coach Dino Maringo.
So when did they tell you about your Bellator debut? When did you officially know?
Probably about 4 weeks ago. But I signed with them about end of last year, end of September maybe. I signed with them.
Yeah, because you had some.
I was supposed to fight in December.
You had some Bama fights I seen, and that other organization.
Yeah, couple Bama fights.
What was that other one?
Fusion had a fight on.
Fusion. You had some good fights there too. Your only loss is it by submission, right? Your only loss.
Yeah, by submission.
So I mean, but like we said, 12 fights. You're pretty skilled at this point, and anybody, I cover MMA. I go over it a lot. Like I don't know. Are you aware with Fabian Edwards?
Yeah, he's on the card also.
Yeah. I had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he's a legit prospect too. And
he's a good fighter.
You could argue with you and him both, and I'm that's why I wanted you to come on, so we can get you out there and get people to look. They'll be like, oh well, let me look up his highlights real quick. and then
Yeah. Appreciate it, man.
that's how it all the snowball effect. But you could make the argument that you and him are two of the biggest prospects Bellator has right now.
Yeah, I would say that. I know he's up and coming. They're behind him. So I just want to get my debut out of the way, show Bellator what I'm about, put on a good show, and go from there, man. Just start taking everyone out.
Yeah, definite, and it seems like one of the main things in fighting is mindset, and
Yeah, of course.
believing in yourself, and you can just tell. Some fighters they're cocky, but they're cocky to hide their
Yeah,
insecurities.
it's a defense. It's a defense.
They're overcompensating for their insecurities. But some people you can just tell. Like you said, you're confident. If I knock him out in 5 seconds, that's great. But if we go three rounds, 15 minutes, that's great too.
Yeah. Either way, I know I'm going to get the win. So I don't really mind. I just train everything, get ready for anything.
So where did the nickname the Black Rose come from? Was it because of your last name Rose and you just added the Black Rose?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's how it came into it.
It's actually a very interesting nickname. I think nicknames they separate us. Like kind of back in the day when Chuck had the Iceman shorts and Tito had the Flames. Certain people are known for certain things. And that's a cool nickname to have out there because it automatically gets people interested.
Interested, yeah. Well, it's just basically saying it's the rose from the concrete.
That's
the definition behind it.
That's a Tupac song. That's a Tupac poem. I don't know if you're familiar with Tupac or not.
Yeah.
The rose that grew from concrete.
Yeah.
So what actually made you want to get into MMA, if you don't mind me asking? Was it something
I started off about 7 years ago. I went down to the gym. My mate was doing a bit of training. I just followed him down there casually. Done my first session with Jimmy, actually, and my head coach. And I liked it, even though I got beaten bad, but it was fun. So then I started going, and then everyone was like, "Oh, you might as well start fighting." I was like, yeah. Then got into it, watching other people fight around me, watching Jimmy fight. I just liked it. I liked the thrill of it, like the adrenaline of fighting. It's a manly thing. We've been fighting for years, so Then I had my first fight, and then fell in love with it since then.
Did you have a background in wrestling or jiu-jitsu, or did you train
karate nothing.
Or boxing or anything?
No, nothing. Never done anything before except lift weights, bit of weights, play a bit of football. Never done no martial arts.
Yeah, and you mean football like soccer here?
Yeah, soccer, yeah.
Football to me is American football.
Yeah, NFL.
Yeah, but are you a fan of any other sports besides, MMA? And I've asked, everybody assumes that every MMA fighter, Bellator, UFC, LFA, no matter they assume you all watch every card. Some fighters, like I can't think of his name right now. I had one MMA fighter on. He's an amateur, and he says he never watches fights, doesn't like watching fights. Just you would assume, but do you enjoy the sport of MMA? Like, do you follow it?
Yeah, of course. I love it.
You watch, like, Ariel's show, and, do you keep up with it, like, every single card, or is it just the big cards?
To tell the truth, I watch most cards. Maybe UFC cards. Bellator cards are quite hard to get in the UK. Most of them, but I watch most cards, even like not the big cards. But most UFC cards and stuff are on quite late in the UK, like 5 a.m. So not all the time I'll stay up for it because probably got training the next day, no doubt. So, but I follow all fights, even the lower ranking fighters. I follow everyone. I just love the sport.
Yeah, it's definitely like football, like we mentioned, soccer, basketball, football. They all have a start season and an end season. MMA is all year long.
All year round, yeah, all year round.
So automatically, when you think of featherweights, in Bellator, you think of the Pitbulls, the Pitbull brothers, and Patricky is the featherweight, right?
I think so. I think he's fighting on the main event on the card I'm on but I think it's like lightweight. I think.
Oh, that's then Patricio is the featherweight.
Okay. The
one who just fought Emmanuel Sanchez.
Yeah, okay.
Did you watch that fight with Emmanuel Sanchez and Patrici?
No, I didn't watch it.
Have you watched many featherweights in Bellator at all, or you coming in uncharted territory and taking over?
Yeah, I ain't really watched none of them, to tell the truth, but I don't really care. Everyone falls the same. Everyone drops the same. Everyone gets hurt the same. So, when my time comes, and I'll be ready to take out any one of them.
A lot of people, you know, they get not really scared per se, but they get nervous.
Yeah.
You know, of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Pitbull brother. Like, you know, it's like if you like when Israel Adesanya is fixing to fight Anderson Silva. You can, when they're standing in that cage, you know, and Israel looks across at him, and Israel's got a great mindset, and he's a great example.
Yeah, of course.
But you can't tell me that he's not deep down thinking, "Oh my God, that's the spider."
Yeah, that's Anderson Silva.
That's
yeah, of course.
Spider over there.
Yeah, but then that's like one of the best fights to ever do it. So, you know, there's not I don't know, man. I don't really phase names, you know, as they say. Idols become rivals.
It's cold in there, as Conor McGregor says.
Yeah, it's cold.
It's ice cold in there.
It's cold. It's cold, mate. There's no friends in the cage.
Yeah, you can't be. Oh well, that's you can't. It's hard when you fight somebody that you like too. Like if you ever have to
of course.
fight friends or anything like that. Have you ever been in a position where you actually liked your opponent and got along with him?
No, not really. I don't really do much interaction with my opponents. But most of my opponents, I've never met them before or come across any of them.
Right.
So, you know, I'm not really... When I see them, I'll be like, yeah, but I'm not really best friends. You know, at the end of the day, it's a fight.
Yeah, but now you're come to hurt me. You know, you're going to have press conferences with these people and, you know, going to be sitting pretty close to them. It seems like trash talk is the big thing in MMA, really.
Yeah, of course.
You don't really seem like much of a guy who does much talking. You seem like you just do your job, and if they interview you or, you know, at the end, like your post-fight interview after the win, you seem like the type of guy would just be like, yeah, I did my job. Thank you all for coming out. Have a good night. Did I hit
I'm not really the ones that over talks a lot, but if someone tries to give it, I'll give it back.
Right. You kind of have to. You know,
Definitely.
It builds up hype. It gets people invested.
Yeah, of course.
People want
it's an entertainment show at the end of the day, so, you know, they really want to be entertained.
Besides the fight, we're trying to entertain people. You know, we're trying to
of course.
Win or lose. That's why so many people love the Diaz brothers, you know, because win or lose, they always put on a show.
You're going to be entertained. Yeah, of course.
Who is your favorite? Who is your favorite of all time?
That's probably be Anderson Silva, man, because even when I started training, I didn't even know about MMA before. Obviously, I've heard like cage fighting or whatever, but that was the first fight I saw on TV over Anderson Silva versus Vito Belfort when he knocked him up with the up kick.
Yeah.
And then I started following Anderson Silva, like looking him up or whatever. And I was like, oh, this guy's good. Like the way he moves, he just seems like so free in there. So I think Anderson Silva is definitely my favorite.
Yeah,
of all time.
He will always be my number one as far as like pound for pound. Everybody says John Jones, you know, and I have my own opinions on John Jones, of course, like everybody else. But you can't say, well, Anderson took steroids, so did John. You know, you can't.
Yeah, of course. A lot of these guys are taking steroids. That's the thing.
And Anderson's 40. John's not. Anderson's a lot older than John, you know.
But of course.
I firmly believe that prime Anderson Silva was the best mixed martial artist ever.
Yeah, 100%. Just the way he done everything, the way he moved everything. No one can imitate him. No one.
And still, in Israel, speaking, you know, of Israel and Anderson, I make predictions, you know, and do shows before all of them. I'm probably going to go with Anderson. I think Anderson's going to upset him. I think Anderson's going to win this one by upset.
Very likely, because Israel's hasn't fought anyone like Anderson Silva. That's 100%. So I think it all depends on how Anderson comes in, really. If he comes in like in good shape, trains hard, focused, you know, he can win it. But I think recently in a lot of his fights, he holds back a lot. But I don't know.
People online are saying that Israel's going to smoke him, you know, and Israel will just dominate. I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think we're going to see Israel just dominate Anderson Silva.
Nah, no. Unless Silva lets him. That's the thing. You just have to see where his head's at. Yeah. You know, he's been off quite a lot. He ain't had much wins in the last few years. He's out of his prime. He knows it. But it just depends what he's fighting for still.
Right.
Really. That's what all depends on. What are you fighting for?
I think Anderson's going to be motivated because, you know, Israel's a new up-and-comer. He kind of reminds people of Anderson a little bit with the way he moves. And I think Israel's going to be confident. You know, he's got that mindset. He's going to go in there thinking he's going to murk him. But will it come to fruition? We'll just have to see.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be a good one, though. Definitely a fight I'm looking forward to.
Which card is that on again? Do you remember which card that's on?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember.
I can't remember right now off the top of my head either. But The UFC just moved to ESPN Plus. How does it work over there in London to get? Do you guys get ESPN and ESPN Plus?
No, they're gone in London. In UK, it's going to stay on BT Sport. So they'll still show on BT Sport over here, which is good for us.
Is that like a free channel, or is that like a you have to pay for it?
Yeah, you have to pay for it, but because of if you sign up to BT Sport, you can watch it for free.
Yeah, here, because like before it was on FS1 and Fox, people like me in the States can watch it for free, and we can watch Bellator on DAZN and Bellator on Paramount for free, but now they're moving to apps, and you have to pay like 10 or 20 a month for the app.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're getting a little money hungry, you know, they're not wanting to give us free fights no more.
Yeah, that's crazy. $20 a month just to watch fights, like, on top of your other bills.
Which don't sound like much, but, you know, if you're... that's not counting the pay-per-views. You know, if you're buying the pay-per-views are $70 for every pay-per-view here.
$70?
Yeah, $70 for every pay-per-view.
We get all the pay-per-views for free on BT Sports, so we got it kind of easy.
Yeah, we have to buy each individual pay-per-view.
That's crazy.
Like sometimes,
$70.
I remember within like 6 months of six straight cards, or 5 or 6 cards within 6 months, if you buy every one, that's $400 or $500.
Wow, that's a lot of money to watch the fight.
We're dedicated, though. We are dedicated.
Yeah, of course.
So another thing that just happened in MMA, before I get you off here, and I just wanted to get your, and I appreciate you too for taking the time to
of course, come on, man, no problem.
And I would love to, if we can, after you get this win, we'll get you on after your win and talk about your fight.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely come back on.
Yes, I appreciate it. A big shock in MMA lately that just happened is Amanda Nunes and fucking Cyborg. I mean, who's seen that coming? I picked Nunes. I had Amanda Nunes winning, but I had her winning by decision. Was that the most shocking? First of all, I'm just gonna guess you thought Cyborg was gonna win.
Do you know what? I wasn't sure because I thought Cyborg would have the strength advantage, but I thought Nunes would have the speed advantage. And, you know, like, speed beats power most times. Like, you know, speed and accuracy beats power most times, because if she's hitting you with 5 shots and you hit her with 1, then it's a big difference. So I thought it could go either way, depending on who turned up on the day.
But when they went out there and met in the middle, it seemed like they just threw all the game plan out the window. They just let's just fight, and you can't get into you can't do that with Nunes because she throws punches like she's throwing a fastball.
I think the thing about Cyborg is because she's got so much heart and she's such a natural fighter. Once she gets hit, she just goes into fight mode and just goes headhunting. She doesn't really and truly. When she was getting caught, she should have readjusted and started throwing different things. You know, get Nunes thinking, but she didn't readjust at all. She just went headhunting and just got hit. It's the thing about a lot of fighters. They need to get their fight IQ up and be smarter in there. Because if you see the top fighters, pound for pound, are all smart fighters, thinkers. They can fight differently in a fight. Like you can see 5 different versions of them in a whole fight. But when you want to just do stuff like that, as I said before, you get caught. You get caught. You can't do that against a sharper opponent.
Yeah, it's like she threw game plan out the window and just started fighting. And then afterwards, you know, I thought Cyborg was going to be bitter and mad, and she got lucky. She can't beat me. But she actually took it like a champ. You know, she said she caught me. Do they do a rematch? Because I don't know if you know this, but Cyborg has 1 more fight on her contract, and whenever you have 1 more, they'll let you shop around. And they offered to re-sign her, and she said no. I want to see what everybody else will offer me, and then I might re-sign. If you're the UFC and you're Dana, do you do a rematch? I personally think no, but it's close. Like if you go by, does she deserve it? She definitely deserves it. She's the most dominant woman ever.
Yeah,
but it was 51 seconds. It was very decisive. So if you go by deserve, she deserves it. But deserve and becoming a reality is 2 different things.
Yeah, of course. I don't know. I don't know for what she should do. I think that there's not much fighters in the featherweight women's division, is there? So it's kind of a hard one. It's not like there's a lot of contenders who are like high level waiting for the throne. There's not. So I think it's a hard one for her. But I think she should maybe fight one person, then do the rematch, because it was such a quick finish.
I believe, and this is just me personally, and I said this before the Amanda fight, before the fight even happened with Amanda. I think that Cyborg is done with the UFC, and I believe she's always had a good relationship with Scott Coker. Always, she's signed with Strikeforce. I believe we will see Cyborg in Bellator within 6 to 8 months. I believe that because Bellator has some legit 145ers. Julia Budd. They've got some new women that they have more women in Bellator her size.
Yeah.
So could you see that happening too? Could you see her coming to Bellator?
Yeah, I could. I can see a lot of fighters from UFC coming to Bellator, because you've seen it already. Like fighters coming over from UFC to Bellator.
Gegard.
Yeah, like Gate, and people might say, "Oh, so many people that are at the end of their career." But look at Gegard; he easily would have got a title shot really soon in UFC and left them come to Bellator. Rory McDonald was a top contender. He's number 1, number 2. He came over to Bellator. So it can happen, man. I think anyone could make the switch.
And I'd like to see some Bellator guys go to the UFC, like Michael Chandler. Like and I did a video about this. I personally believe that Michael Chandler could be the one to dethrone Khabib. Now, will it happen? I mean, who knows? I mean, it probably never happened. But like, if you match them up and looked at it, Michael Chandler might have the key to that safe. And another guy
he's a good wrestler.
Would be MVP. I'm a huge Michael Venom Page fan.
Yeah. He's good.
I would love to see him in the UFC.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think few fighters should make a switch. Some should come to Bellator, some should go to UFC, and we'll have some good matchups that way.
Oh yeah, I think they should do cross promotions. Like they should do a huge event every January, once a year, UFC versus Bellator.
Yeah, because they did that Bellator guy went and fought in Risen, isn't it? Is it Risen?
Yeah, the guy Darian Caldwell just went and fought at Ryzen.
Yeah, so let's doing it there. I don't know if UFC will do that, because they want to keep the number 1 spot.
We had that little trade with Mighty Mouse and Ben Askren, but it kind of really wasn't a trade. Like they released Ben, and then the UFC signed him, and then they released Mighty Mouse, and it wasn't really a trade, but. It would be cool, like just once a year, just a big promotion. Take your top guys in Bellator versus your top guys in UFC, and it would be a fun card.
Yeah, it would be. A lot of people, all Bellator fans will hook in, then all the UFC fans will hook in, so it'll be big. But
you can like both. Some people think you just got to pick one. You can watch both. You can watch Bellator.
Yeah, of course.
You can watch UFC. I watch LFA, Bellator, PFL. I watch everything.
Yeah, so do I.
Well, man, I appreciate your time so much. It's been a good episode.
All right, sure, man. Thanks.
And I will. Where can they find you on Twitter?
BlackRose_LP.
For sure. And I'm gonna be posting it soon. As soon as it's done uploading, I'll tag you in it.
All right, cheers.
All right,
Respect, man.
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
So
you have a good day. Hope you guys enjoyed this interview. Go check him out. Go to YouTube and Twitter. He's making his Bellator debut February 9th. He's a legit prospect. He's got good hands, good kicks, good punches, good counter striker, good at making you chase him, and dominant wrestling. Like if you look at his highlights, it's just him on top of people, elbowing their face in most of the time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope you guys like and subscribe. And message me if you have any questions, comments. See you guys.